Life in America feels worse for millions of people in 2025 for several different reasons. First of all, daily life just feels exhausting. People are working endlessly to make ends meet, and they're not even making ends meet. Households have to have two incomes to be able to pay the bills. And it's not enough if you're just even making $20 an hour anymore. People that are making six figures are saying that they're having a hard time. Now, where you live does have a lot to do with that. If you are in the city, if you are more rural in the country, are you in a very expensive state? Are you in a cheaper state? We live in a cheaper state because of this reason. We decided to leave Texas in an area that did have a pretty affordable cost of living, but we decided to move to Oklahoma because it's even cheaper to live here because of this reason. And you have to make changes like that right now. People are needing to vote with their feet. Originally, I'm from California, and we left there years ago because of what is happening with the cost of living, amongst a lot of other things that's going on there in the state.
I'm an American. I pay $1,600 for a flat that has no bedroom. That's 2/3 of my income. I'm an American. I work 50 hours a week. I don't have health insurance. I'm an American. I couldn't afford to have a child even if I wanted to. I'm $7,000 in debt. I'm an American. My health is declining because I can't afford Whole Foods because that's too expensive for my life. I am very overqualified for my job, but no one else is hiring. I'm an American. I make my boss hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, while I can barely keep myself alive. I'm an American. I have never been out of the States. I have never been on a vacation. I'm an American. I make $20-some an hour. A livable wage here is like 30-some. Yet I don't qualify for government assistance whatsoever. On the days I don't work, I'm so tired I just sleep all day. I'm an American. My electric bill is so expensive I sit outside in the heat because I can't afford to turn the AC on in the damn house. I'm an American, and I fear I'm just an average American. I'm living the American dream.
The cost of living in this country is currently, it's not going to be, it is currently unsustainable. And there are people that they know this, but then they'll still look at somebody else that's struggling and then tell them they're not doing good enough. I want you to imagine somebody that makes $75,000 a year. That's a pretty high up wage in terms of like top earners in this country, $75,000 a year. And we're going to go through some things here. This is a person with no debt outside of a car. And please don't hit me with the, you can go buy a car for, shut up, you can't, shut up, stop saying ridiculous things. An entry-level decent car is $30,000. So this person who puts $200 a month into insurance and they pay 5% into their 401k because shut up, people should be able to put money into their retirement. Because if you're not doing it now, you're never going to get to start doing it later. So after those two things come out of their paycheck and their taxes are paid, they bring home $53,850 a year from a $75,000 paycheck. Average rent in my state for a one-bedroom apartment, because an adult should be able to live by themselves, $1,700. That car payment at 6% for an entry-level, very reasonable sedan, nothing fancy, that car payment's $579 a month. Car insurance, $240 or so a month for a lot of vehicles in this day and age. You're a young person, you've got a nice job, but the insurance companies still want to screw you over. Food. You only cook at home. You never, ever go out. You only cook at home and you only eat decent quality food because a human being should be allowed to eat decent quality food. You pay $879 a month for that. You spend $250 a month in gas. You wear and tear on your car $100 a month. $80 for your phone, $80 for your internet, $175 a month for your electricity, $70 for your water, $20 for your cash. You make $75 grand a year, and outside of a car payment, you have zero debt. Do you know how much money you have left over annually at a $75,000 wage? You do nothing. You don't own a Netflix. You don't go out on a date. You don't pay to go to a park. You don't go watch a movie. You do nothing. If you can't find it on the internet for free, you don't get to do it. If you can't cook it at home for your $800, you don't get to do it. You have $3,700 left over annually. That's like $320 a month. And there's going to be, well, dog's $300. Shut up. Shut your stupid, contrarian, edgelord mouth. That's not a doctor bill. because God knows just because we have insurance doesn't mean that we don't still pay far out the ass when we go to the doctors. People like to be entertained. They want to date. They want to... There's those of you out there that will tell somebody living like this on $75,000 a year before taxes that they are not doing what they're supposed to do, that they should get a second job, that they should get a side hustle, that they should get a better job. And the fact that you would look at somebody with no debt other than a car and say something like this to them means objectively you're a moron and you live in a fantasy world. This is unsustainable.
Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, Africans. I hope you're doing fine where you are, and if you ain't doing fine, please do fine where you are. There is this, I don't know whether to call it an African proverb or a human proverb, because it transcends all nations, it transcends all ethnicities, right? So it goes by, all that glitters is not gold, right? All that is shining is not gold. The people who said this proverb had a reason for saying it so, right? Many times we are enticed by things that we see. Many times we are enticed by other things, right? We are told, if you go to this place, you will feel good. If you go to this other place, you won't feel good, right? And America is one of those countries that you should go to as an African. America is one of those countries that if you have gone to as a black person, particularly African, because even our parents used to push these ideas, our teachers used to push these ideas, study hard and go to USA like so-and-so. They would name examples of people who've gone there, right? But there is something they failed to tell us. America is not all that they told us about. America has its dark sides, right? In fact, nowadays that we have digital media, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, X, today we are able to see the things that the main media like CNN, Al Jazeera were hiding in the past, right? We can see homelessness. We can see public shooting. We can see oppression of black people. We can see, of course, there is poverty in the United States of America. And that is what I wanted us to discuss in this video. Now, there's a sister who is going to speak. I want us to listen to them because they are white people and they are really complaining about a hard life in USA. In Africa, we think that if we see a white person, they are rich. No. That is a false narrative. Not every white person we see is rich. And here is why. I want us to dive into these videos, listen to these sisters. I shall get back by the end of the video, of course, where we shall also have a deep, critical analysis. Let's dive in.
This is what I'm struggling with in America right now in my 20s. Why is everything so expensive? Why am I making more money waitressing than I would make using my college degree? I barely have a life. I have 2 days off and I work Wednesday to Sunday, doubling just to pay my bills. At 22 years old, all of my bills are in my name. I have no help. How are y'all affording housing? In Myrtle Beach, a 1-bedroom apartment is $1,500. How are y'all getting insurance, going to the doctor, getting medicine? And then some of us are trying to be TikTok influencers. Who knows where that's going to get me? Me and my boyfriend are saving, but we barely see each other during the week, and it feels like we're working our off for nothing. Do we need to move somewhere for a better job opportunity that we don't know about? Do any of y'all really know what you want to do with your life right now? It is so scary being in America right now.
What am I doing wrong? I work every day and I'm still broke. Like, I have a decent job, I make some decent money, but I live out here in Cali. Like, bro, as soon as I get paid, I have all these bills stacked up, bro, that shit wipes me clean. Like, fuck, I got no money left over. Making $100,000 a year doesn't get you anywhere nowadays.
Hi guys, I'm really stressed today. I just went to the grocery store, bought 10 items, and it was $80 freaking already. I literally have $10 left on my account. So a little backstory. I got laid off from my job a month ago. And I've been applying for jobs months before I got laid off. Sent out hundreds of resumes already. Applied to hundreds of jobs on the internet. remote, and on-site. Tailored my resume to every position that I applied using ChatGPT. Went to only a few interviews. And still nothing. Like, what the f is going on with America right now? Like, it's so freaking hard to live here. Like, I'm gonna stay positive. I'm gonna keep applying for jobs. I'm gonna keep showing up. But man, my bills are not going to wait.
Y'all, I just went today and got my driver's license renewed, my car tags renewed, picked up 2 prescriptions, and got a few groceries. To say that I'm completely broke now is an understatement. So I'm going to have to go home and start selling off my furniture to be able to live the rest of the month. I mean, that's just, it's unbelievable. And my heart hurts today. Truly hurts for people who are not able. And we're living in some rough times, really rough times. And we need to be praying for all those around us who are not as fortunate as we are to be able to do the things that we need to do. I'm not talking about extras. I'm not talking about going on vacation and doing fun things. I'm talking about living, taking care of your vehicle, if you can even afford a vehicle, putting groceries on the table, buying medicine, the things you have to do. It's sad. It's very sad.
Yeah, it's a really sad thing here. You know, we have a generation that is right now trying to survive in the US, and they're doing it at a time that it is so difficult with the rising costs. I really do feel for the younger generation, and even for the older generation. I mean, you're hearing the stories here that it's just so difficult right now. You go and do a few things and it's like your bank account is empty, and that is the reality. Money goes by so quickly, and the reason why is because primarily, in my opinion, wages have not kept up here in the US. That's a fact. And also the cost of everything has gone up so dramatically that right now it's just not lining up. It's really, really, really difficult to make ends meet. And you do have to start learning to do with less. Take out the luxuries in life, take out the unnecessary vacations, the unnecessary spending, take out the wants, and really just focus on the needs. And even just by getting the needs, purchasing the needs, taking care of your needs, even that really starts to draw people broke. And I'm seeing more and more that people are having a harder time to cope with this because it's getting too stressful. And even though this has been going on for years now, and if the pot continues to boil, I really believe things are just going to get a lot worse because people are already living on the edge, and you already can not afford something extra to happen or something extra to come up without just kind of going in the hole. So that's why I've been a proponent of just living as minimally as possible for years now, being as debt-free as possible and living frugally, because look at where we are today. Look at what's going on in the world.
Bro, the cost of living is insane right now. Like, what are we doing? I swear before COVID in my area, $20 an hour was like, you balling, you good. Now, people that making $20 an hour, I'm like, man, how are they surviving? Like, this is insane. Fast food places are paying $20 an hour now. So $20 an hour is the new $10 an hour. Obviously, all of this is relative to where you live. So my $20 an hour where I live in Northern Virginia may be your $16 an hour, or maybe your $30 an hour. It all really depends on where you live. Like, I can't be the only one that sees this stuff. Like, I can't be the only one that understands what's going on. And it honestly worries me that there's some people out there that make less than that. Like, think about the people out there that's making minimum wage. Like, probably have to work 2 or 3 jobs just to make up for, you know, a livable income.
Don't get me wrong, I love being single and I love living alone. It's great, it's fantastic, but fuck, it's expensive. I just spent $600 on brakes on my car, just on the front part of the car, because I couldn't afford all 4 brakes and axles and rotors and whatever the fuck. And then now I just paid my car payment, which is $500, so I just blew $1,100 in like 3 hours, and it wasn't even like fun, you know? Fuck. Sorry, it's just so overwhelming. Like, you work and 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 you work, and it's just to pay off like your basic necessities. And you can't, like, in this city that I live in, public transport, please. If I were to do public transport, it's like asking to get rate, and I really shouldn't be crying because now I have to go to another work event, and now I'm gonna be all puffy. living is so expensive. Just keeping yourself alive and floating is so expensive. And what I was saying before I was rudely interrupted is if I were to take public transport here, especially for my job requires a car. I have to have a bunch of shit that I have to lug with me for work. And I can't do that with public transport. I'm venting. Inflation sucks. Just living in America sucks. Living alone sucks. It's great, but it sucks. Because you have to front all the expenses by yourself. I need a husband just so that I can live. So we can split the bill.
You're not struggling because you're poor. You're struggling because you live in the USA. You're struggling because prices have gone up tremendously, but the wages haven't. You're struggling because your bills continue to increase, but your wages haven't. You're struggling because you have greedy, corrupt CEOs of companies that are continuing to record record profits, but are refusing to pay their workers a livable wage. You're struggling because the country that prints money won't give that money back to its people. You're struggling because the country that is in $37 trillion and counting worth of debt somehow finds a way to give billions of dollars to fund new wars, but won't find any money to fund the poor. You're struggling because this country is stealing 30 to 40% of your income, if not more. You're struggling because after this country wrongfully took 30 to 40% of your income, they're telling you to pay more during tax season. You're struggling because homes that used to cost $150,000 to $200,000 10 to 15 years ago are now costing $400,000, if not $500,000. You're struggling because those starter homes that used to be seen as affordable are now being bought by large corporations. You're struggling because rent was under $1,000 10 to 15 years ago is now costing almost $3,000 for a one bedroom. You're struggling because these greedy landlords continue to increase the rent. You're struggling because a $100 grocery bill 10 to 15 years ago will get you a huge haul, will now only get you a few things in 2025. You're struggling because the gas that you used to fill up your car used to be $1 and some change per gallon is now almost $4 a gallon. You're struggling because the cost of having a good time and living life has gone up tremendously. An airplane ticket used to be $200 round trip is now $400 one way. It used to cost under $1,000 to enjoy a vacation. Now it's costing almost $3,000 to $4,000 depending on where you go. You're struggling because you're forced to get a second job just to make ends meet as things continue to skyrocket. You're struggling because the American dream is no longer the American dream. It's the American nightmare.
I was thinking about this. We are the richest country on the planet, one of the richest countries. Why does it look like ass? Like, really think about that for a second. Like, when you're driving, if you're not in like Florida or California or the coast of like Oregon or whatever, it's like, this place looks like shit. And we have so much money. Like, I'm thinking of like Europe and Japan and all the architecture like across the world and how beautiful it looks. Why don't we have like rose gold buildings and like, why does the Kmart's and like all of the stores look like shit? Like, I don't know. I'm just thinking in my head, I'm closing my eyes and I can imagine like like look at China, like Shanghai, like the coast, like all those videos you see, that's like no joke, stunning, beautiful, high tech. You would think America would look like that with the amount of money that we have, but it just looks like, ugh, you know what I mean?
As a person who grew up in Hong Kong, I find American life is hard. Interestingly, a lot of people in Hong Kong believe American does not need to work hard and they live in big houses with trees growing money in their backyard. They believe they are the busiest people on earth and being oppressed by the government, and they get angry because they believe they have it worse than the rest of the world, which is funny because now I look back, I realize life in Hong Kong is relatively easy. Everything is reachable in walking distance. They don't need to own a car because the public transportation takes them to everywhere. They don't need to worry about their cars breaking down and not being able to get to work. Need not to say owning a car is a money pit. They can hire a Filipino maid for less than $600 per month to live in their house to do all of the chores. Keep in mind that the wage in Hong Kong is one of the highest in Asia, and the tax rate is extremely low, so a lot of families can easily afford a maid from the Philippines. In the meantime, I have a relatively good job in the US, but I'm still doing chores during the Thanksgiving holiday, preparing Thanksgiving meal, cleaning the house, cleaning the backyard because I don't want to pay $300 for people to scoop the leaves. I'm also running errands, meal prepping for the next work week, going to the gym because I don't want to rely on the medical systems that rips us off. It's Sunday today and I'm already feeling the stress for tomorrow. I was reviewing my to-do list to make sure I didn't forget anything for tomorrow. I know that my life is not as hard as a lot of yours. I know that a lot of you guys have kids and you are working 2 to 3 jobs to feed the kids. I honestly think this is insane. You might probably wonder, why am I not going back to Hong Kong? I can go on and on about it, but I'm gonna keep my answer short here. Hong Kong people are very hateful, especially the older generation. I was being hated and judged my entire life when I was there. My mother beat me up, my relatives judged me, and the teachers didn't like me because I wasn't behaving the way they want. I just went back to Hong Kong last month to get my ID done, and the lady who served me was extremely rude for no reason. I don't want to go back, and I'd rather have a harder life while being surrounded by good people.
Now guys, after clearly listening to the brothers and the sisters share their lamentation, here's my deep critical analysis about America. We are going to expose the lies that has been told about America to the black people. You see, when people in Africa talk about America, the picture is usually bright. Many believe that the streets of America are clean and full of cash, that jobs are easy to find, and that life there is simple and sweet. They think every person in America has a big house, a huge car, and plenty of food on the table. Songs, movies, and social media make America look like a land of endless opportunity where nobody suffers. But there's a wise saying, as I told you earlier, that all that glitters is not gold. And this means that what looks beautiful from afar is not always good when you come close. America shines like gold in the eyes of many Africans and the black people. But behind that shine, there are deep struggles, pains, and hardship that most outsiders never see. You know? Remember, this video is for educational purposes only. It's not an attack on anyone living in the USA. It's just a general perspective or a general perception of how we black people in Africa see America. So don't feel targeted or offended by this video. It is for educational purposes only. So let's talk about the struggle of daily living in America. Life in America is very expensive. Most people have to work hard, very hard, just to cover very basic needs like rent, food, and transport. A simple apartment in a city can cost more than what many workers earn in a month. Healthcare ain't free. When someone gets sick in America, the hospital bill can be so high that families fall into debt. Even education in America is not easy. To go to college, many students borrow money and they spend many years of their adult lives paying back these loans, right? Some Americans work 2 or even 3 jobs to survive. Imagine waking up early in the morning, working all day, and coming home late at night, then repeating the same cycle every single day. The body gets tired, of course, the mind becomes stressed, and still the money is not enough and will never be enough, right? This is the reality for millions of Americans, but it is rarely shown in movies or music videos. Homelessness in the US being termed as the land of wealth. The land of wealth should not be having homelessness unless it's not really the land of wealth. Another hidden truth in America, this one everyone knows, I believe, is homelessness in the richest city in the world. Thousands of people sleep on the streets every night. They live in tents, under bridges, or in broken cars. Some of them lost jobs, others cannot afford the high rent, and many are veterans who once served in the military. To see homeless people in cities like Los Angeles or New York shocks many Africans who always believed that America was full of wealth for everyone. This shows clearly that all that glitters ain't gold, right? Another one, which is the most undisputable, is racism and discrimination in America. For Black Americans, the challenges are even heavier. Racism has never disappeared. It shows itself in schools, in jobs, in housing, and especially in the justice system. A Black worker may be paid less than a white worker for the same job. Black people are more likely to be stopped by police, more likely to be jailed, and more likely to face violence. The dream of equality is far and very far from so many in America. This is important for Africans to realize and understand. The skin color that connects them to their brothers and sisters in America also connects them to the same struggles of oppression. The world may see America as a perfect land, but Black people living there, life is often a fight for respect, safety, and fairness, right? We have also the silent pain of mental struggles. Another truth that is rarely spoken is mental health. In America, life moves so fast that people often feel alone, right? When surrounded by many others. Families are sometimes separated by distance as people move from one place to another in search of jobs. Neighbors may live next doors for years without truly knowing each other. Depression, stress, and loneliness are very common in the USA. Suicide rates are very high. Behind the smiling pictures on social media, many Americans are suffering silently. So we also have the illusion shown to the world, the image that the media wants us to see about America. Why then do Africans believe America is paradise? Why do you believe? Why did I believe? The answer lies in the images that had been shown to us by Hollywood movies, social media posts, and even the stories told by those who travel abroad. People rarely share their struggles. Instead, they show the good side. Nice clothes, beautiful cars, and tall buildings. But just because something shines does not mean it has no cracks. Africans should not be fooled into thinking that life in America is always easier than life in Africa. Each place has its blessings and its struggles. While America has technology, money, and opportunities, it also has high costs, racism, and loneliness. Africa, on the other hand, may lack some material things, but it has strong communities, rich culture, and a deep sense of belonging that many Americans wish they had. Now, what is the lesson here? The lesson for Black people everywhere in the world is this. For both Blacks and Africans, the key lesson is this. Do not be deceived by the appearance. Appearance is never the reality. Paradise is not found in America or in any other country. True paradise comes from justice, unity, equality, and peace of mind, right? The saying, all that glitters is not gold, should remind us that we must look deeper than the surface. For Black Americans, the struggle continues to demand fairness and equality, right? For Africans, the challenge is to build their own countries instead of believing that salvation lies in another land. If Africans strengthen their economies, schools, and communities, they will not need to chase after the glitters of America. Yes. To conclude, America may look like a shining land of dreams, but the reality for many, especially Black people, is filled with hard work, pain, and disappointment. Yes, opportunities exist, but they come at a very heavy cost. The poor, the homeless people, and the discriminated, and the lonely are all proof that the glitter of America hides many dark truths and cracks. In the end, all that glitters is not gold. Let Africans and Black Americans open their eyes. Let them search for true value, not in shiny images of wealth, but in justice, unity, and dignity for all. This is where real gold is found. Yes. I read it like a poem because I want you to get it and understand it. It's easier to remember a song than a speech. Yeah? So I hope you get value from this video, and if you haven't, kindly watch it again. And if you have, share your thoughts in the comment section. I want to hear from you what you have to say about this video. See you in the next one. Stay positive. Support me on Patreon if you may. I'll surely appreciate. See you in the next one.